you read of the berating of Zelensky the other week and the repercussions it's having all around the world? I mean, just to frame this, Justice Scarpio, there's one school of thought saying that okay lang yan, ganyan talaga, sorry na lang sa Ukraine, kailangan talaga itapon yung Ukraine kasi US has to lighten its load to focus on Asia. Basically, let's just prioritize Asia. In fact, there are people who are called prioritizers, like Elbridge Colby, for instance, he had the Senate hearing, na parang, tanggapin lang natin, the US cannot have multiple wars being funded at the same time, and China is just so big to be left on its own, right? And then there's even a more imaginative school of thought, which is like, this will be the reverse Nixon, right? Like, we will get Russia to make a deal with Iran, and then Russia and Iran will get out of China's, and then we'll isolate China, right? There's even a more interesting imaginative one. And then there's the opposite of that. And I had an interview with the Economist magazine because they were trying to quote from one of my articles there. In that interview, sabi ko, there's another fear, which is, I don't know, Justice, I forgot the German term, yung the year of three Kaisers, parang Tri-Kaiser-Jagd. Remember, after the 1848 revolution, the leaders of Russia, Austria-Hungary, and Germany, yung tatlong illiberal leaders nagsama to defeat the liberal forces. Some are saying, what if this is really about Trump loving Putin and Xi Jinping, and three of them will do a Yalta 2.0, as we discussed last time, right? That this is really a restructuring of the entire order. And then there's a fourth school of thought saying that, no one knows. This is Trump. He just had a tariff on Mexico the other day. Now he removes it. Sabog lang yon. We really cannot say much. So let's just play it by the ear and respond accordingly. Having said that, we've been having discussions. Some of our allies, some fellow US allies are panicking. In South Korea, they're openly talking about building their own nuclear weapon, and they're just one screwdriver away. They're a threshold nuclear state. France openly talking about, being France, they love being independent from US, at least rhetorically. Macron is coming over soon for Shangri-La dialogue, maybe also Manila. And then Friedrich Merz, the incoming Chancellor of Germany, someone who worked in BlackRock, US-based, long time, big transatlantic guy, now saying he will 100% make sure that Germany will be independent from US to the best of his ability under his chancellorship. I mean, these are big statements. And lastly, Justice Scarpio, Ambassador Babe Romualdez, right? He said,
Yeah.
parang the iron part is not very gold, maybe it's a bit copper. You know what I'm saying? And then our good friend, General Mike Loico, I hope I didn't put him in trouble. I quoted him in my Nikkei Asia piece. Basically, his point, in the end, we will fight for our own, right? So when you even have, dyed in the wood Filipino top officials or generals who are involved in the US-Philippine relations, who are coming out and saying, this is not just berating Zelensky, something bigger is going on. Do you think, Justice, this is vindicating basically what you have been saying, or actually both of us have been saying for the past 2 months or so?
Well, the what happened there, what we saw in the Oval House, the Oval Room, is that Trump flipped what actually happened. He said Ukraine was the invader. I mean, how could Ukraine invade itself? I mean, it was obviously Russia that was the invader. Second, he said that it was the fault of Ukraine. I mean, we all know that it couldn't have been the fault of Ukraine. Ukraine here is the victim of aggression. And remember the Budapest Memorandum, Russia,
1994, yeah.
yeah, US and UK guaranteed the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Ukraine in exchange for Ukraine to give up its nuclear weapons, because when the Soviet Union collapsed, Ukraine was had the largest stockpile, one of the largest stockpile of nuclear weapons.
Second or
A
third,
third, a
third
third,
in the world. Yeah,
a
third in the
third of
world.
the nuclear stockpile
Yeah.
of the USSR was inherited by Ukraine. So Ukraine gave all of that, gave up all its nuclear weapons in exchange for a guarantee by Russia. And the first country to invade Ukraine was Russia. So Trump should know this. The that's why the British, I admire the British because they're very steadfast in their commitment that they will guarantee the territorial integrity and the independence of
The
Ukraine.
king, right? The king met Zelensky right
Yeah.
away. And although si Trump, he made fun of Starmer, di ba? Sabi niya, can you take on Russia on your own? Di ba? Ang
So
bully niya talaga.
so what we've seen is that the leader of the US is siding with Putin, who has invaded Ukraine. And that picture has changed everything. And people in Taiwan, in South Korea, in Japan, and even here, we're starting to doubt now the U.S. commitment. Even Babes Romualdez said it's not ironclad anymore. So I think this is going to be big because this will start the shift. Even Europe now, uh, France has offered to provide the nuclear umbrella to everybody in EU, and I think France will have to increase its stockpile of nuclear weapons to do that.
That's very
But
important. I talked to some visiting Europeans from not France, but neighbor, and they said there's no way we can talk about a European defense policy unless the nuclear policy issue is addressed, meaning it's a joint nuclear
yeah,
umbrella. That's very
yeah,
important point.
because they have to be nuclear armed because Russia is has the largest arsenal of nuclear weapons. So this could change the division in the world. No, the people will rely less on the U.S. because it has become unpredictable, and even Canada will strike a deal now with EU. It's really unfortunate that this is happening because at a time when Russia is about to collapse, uh, Trump is giving a second wind to Russia.
Yun na, hindi ko maintindihan, di ba, Justice? Art of the deal. Where is the art of the deal? You're actually bugbog sarading Russia, 600,000 casualties. Their economy is, of course, not collapsed, but, Russia is poor compared to Europeans. Their per capita is one-fourth of an average European. And so actually you can juice out Russia, right? Russia is in a position that it could be forced to make on, and yet it's Ukraine which is being bullied to give more concessions. Speaking of concessions, Justice Kirby, like, what is your read of the fact that Trump was not willing to provide any security guarantee? And it looks like, correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like the emerging theory is this: we will never give you a security guarantee, but if you give us half of your mines, once our companies are there, because our companies are there, we'll make sure Russia doesn't take away your land. It's like choose between your colonial, diba? Parang masters, ganun na lang, diba?
Yeah, actually, Trump and Putin have the same ambition, the same uh, purpose. Putin is after the rare earth minerals of Ukraine. And when Trump learned about it, he said, I will do the same. So,
Mauna si Mayor, yung
yeah, paghatian nila yung rare earth minerals of Ukraine. And Trump was saying, oh, but the Europeans did not give aid; they gave loans. And then he was rebuffed by Macron, by Stammer, that no, we donated. We did not. We're not collecting this amount after the war. So, and still, uh, Trump wants to collect after the war. I mean, this is really strange.
is it strange? Because they say ang idol niya talaga is William McKinley, aside from Andrew Jackson, right? And William McKinley is someone familiar to us in the Philippines. He essentially ensured America's full colonization of the Philippines, right? And McKinley he had his own version of Doge, right? Cutting down government spending, not bailing out banks, and he was imperialist, pushed the boundaries of U.S. empire, make sure it consolidated. So the way Trump talks about Greenland, he reiterated that the other day dun sa kanyang speech, State of the Union speech. Mukhang he's not joking around. He really wants Greenland. And
Yeah,
Panama was forced to give it up to BlackRock, yung part of the port facility that China was trying to operate.
yeah, that's the for me that's the biggest problem facing us because here is the U.S. trying to seize. territory belonging to another country. It's exactly China trying to seize territory belonging to the Philippines. So how can we ask help from the US? How can the US help us when they're doing exactly the same thing that the Chinese are doing? I mean, they they have the same mindset now. Wala na. I mean, they're not defending the free world. They're now, it has become an imperialist state, just like Russia and China. That's
Well,
the big
to be
problem.
fair to China, Prime Minister
How
Wang
can
Yi,
we ask the US to be our defense partner against China?
but isn't it weird?
Yun ang problema natin ngayon. That's
But
why even Babes started different leadership now in the US. I
I'm
mean,
so,
what
yeah,
if presidency? Because presidency has offered this to Obama and to Biden. Why don't we just divide the Asia Pacific?
yeah,
All the
condominium.
waters and islands uh, within the first island chain, between the coast of China and the first island chain will be ours. The rest will be yours. And I think that's a deal that I think I can visualize that Trump could accept that deal. I mean, Obama refused, rejected it. Biden rejected, but Trump, this is that what he's doing to Ukraine is even worse.
Actually, there's a term for that, the Mar-a-Lago Accord. There's already, yeah, just as
Yeah,
we
yeah.
speak, there's a conversation about the Mar-a-Lago Accord, which is basically a Yalta 2.0 potentially, whereby
Yes.
Xi Jinping and Trump will divide the Pacific. This is your sphere of influence. This is my sphere of influence. So, paano ang Pilipinas? Nasa gitna tayo ng
Yeah,
dalawang.
we lose the West Philippine Sea.
But and then the
We
Philippine
lose.
Sea will be dominated by US, right? Kasi that's the Pacific.
Yeah, in the Pacific side, that's the US. So we're sandwiched. And the Vietnamese are saying we become landlocked because right up beyond their territorial sea is already the 9 dash line, the 10 dash line.
I can
And
understand. Yeah, I mean, I understand Babe Romualdez also reaction because he has been in the Oval Office. He has met Trump in the past. We had that conversation. I will have him soon, hopefully, also on this podcast. So I think it was also quite visceral because Justice, I mean, it was not only JD Vance, right, and Trump. Even, I don't know if you know this person, yung boyfriend ni Marjorie Green Taylor, yung nasa likod, yung biniberate niya, bakit ka, don't you have a suit, Mr. President? Why don't you wear, like, yung mga parang SMNI reporter lang nila doon, binibirate si Zelensky. That's crazy. Parang, ano to, bastusan na to di ba? Kaya ang dami it was very traumatic for a lot of people watching it.
yeah, but I'm happy that the Europeans have united and have now a program to revive their arms industry. I think they're talking of $1 trillion, almost $1 trillion, and a lot of that will go to Ukraine in terms of weapons. No, so I think they're stepping up because, well, bottom line, it's the Ukrainians who are really defending Europe now with their lives.
Yeah, they're doing the
And
killing
so,
for the rest of the NATO, right? I mean, they're doing the dirty job
yeah,
basically, beating down
and
the Russians. Yeah.
and all that the Ukrainians are asking, just give us the weapons. We will fight and die to defend Europe. That's why everybody there, especially the small states, they're giving everything to Ukraine. But Trump doesn't see it that way. Trump looks at the map and says, "Oh, we're too far away." It doesn't bother. It doesn't. So we don't need to spend here because Trump. That's Trump is. We look at the dollar side.
Or the renminbi sign. Kaya nga sabi ko, China can offer a lot to Trump. It has the biggest consumer market next to the US. It can offer big trade deals, industrial
But
policy concessions.
the tariff war, it's backfiring on him big time. He's really embarrassed now because he has to pause and pause forever this his 25% tariff on the Canadians because his own consumers will suffer more.
It will kill the car industry in Michigan because a lot of inputs of the car
Yes,
in Michigan are from
everything.
Canada.
Yeah, the parts are made in Canada.
It's
So I mean, he did not think this through, and it's a wonder to me why the people, the his think tank, did not tell him that you cannot push this that far because they will they will call our bluff, and they know that we'll suffer more.
Well, I don't know about the think tank. If you look at Lighthizer, forget about some of the guys inside. He's saying we just have to restructure the entire global economy to reflect the American interest. I mean,
They
there is
cannot do that anymore.
well,
I mean,
they think it's still Reagan's time. That's the problem. They don't realize US may be number one, but everyone has closed the gap. Everyone has caught up. Europe is already the third or second largest economic bloc. Hindi na yung putsugi ng Asia, and India is going to be the next big one. I think there is a denial problem here, right? I think the US thinks it's still the 1980s.
yeah, and the U.S. is heavily indebted. I don't see how they're there's well, they're spending too much on defense that everything is eaten up by their defense spending.
Justice, we have a lot of our MAGA friends here saying, "Oh, but Trump is bringing $1 trillion from Saudi Arabia. He's bringing like, yeah, like the running joke is just kunyari lang sabihin mo you're offering billions. Like, come on. I mean, you must be a fool to believe that. Actually, Saudi Arabia has its own many serious fiscal problems. Yung Neom City nila that we're supposed to spend 501
Yeah,
trillion. They're cutting that back because this it's all smokes and mirrors, right? Justice, it's all performative, right? It's just all a show, like I'm strong, and then yeah, and then this, and then everyone is pretending they'll invest in the US. I mean, what I noticed also is, in fairness, even the Japanese are fighting back, right? So Elbridge Colby during his Senate hearing 2 days ago said Japan has to increase its defense spending to 3% and Taiwan 10%. Thank God he didn't mention the Philippines. I think they understand our limitation. That I appreciate about them. But immediately Ishiba, the Prime Minister of Japan, said, no one will tell us what to do with our defense spending. We will decide what is our defense spending. Do you see a ripple effect that what's happening in Europe could eventually come here? Because Japan is a rich country, South Korea is a wealthy country, both are nuclear threshold states. India doesn't give a heck, they're their own boss. Australia at some point will have to make tough decisions. Do you think that we all have to engage in what I call collective strategic bargaining, meaning all of these US allies na may sariling issues with the US, not to mention, they have to come together and work together more. Para lang there's more power, there's more bargaining chip.
well, I think the first reaction of all of these countries in Asia will have to increase their defense spending. I mean, uh, the U.S. Nuclear umbrella is no longer an ironclad commitment, and they will have to spend for their defense now. And I think that will happen to Japan, to Taiwan, and to South Korea, and even to us. We're now talking. Uh, I mean, we cannot rely on the U.S. 100% now. So
Right.
we have to spend more. I've already recommended that Congress should forego their pork butter for the next 25 years and
Baka
spend
magpalit
it.
baka magpalit career na yung mga kaibigan natin. Medyo baka mag-migrate na sila. Parang wait na, wala na tayong pera makukuha dito. Just his last point, let's talk brass tacks. Yes, we cannot rely on US fully 100%. I mean, maybe not, right? But you'll be a foolish to think that that will be the case without having any real assurance given everything. But obviously, to go from now to where we have sufficient credible defense capability, that's going to take years, like Justice. So
Yeah,
how do you make that difficult transition? That's going to be tricky because China is there and China is growing every single day.
we just have uh, to ask our congressman to forego their pork barrel. That's what I've been recommending. I
And
mean, because that's total waste. I
Can we
mean,
also sell them as we can export them? Like maybe we can export our political dynasties. Maybe it will
a
help.
retired military officer computed it. If only Congress will give up its pork barrel, we will be okay. We will have fighter jets, we will have submarines, we have more warships. If only they will. And I look at the figures; it's doable.
Yeah, we'll easily have 10 to $15 billion a year to spend on. on our defense. We will be top 15 defense spenders. I mean, we'll be at the level of Poland, if not, you know what I'm saying, like Turkey or Iran,
Mm.
right? That's incredible. Now, actually, just as we're half joking about this, but I think this just means business as usual is not sustainable. Not only in terms of good governance, but also in terms of national security, right? If we just keep on going with the flow, Philippines will never have enough resources to invest in itself and will be hopelessly dependent on those who may not be so dependable after all, right? So that's an existential question.
Yes, my thesis is if we do what we've been doing, business as usual, we are certainly going to lose the West Philippine Sea to China. That's the
Province of
bottom
China.
line.
Province of China. Province of China.
Well,
Mahirap.
China might not invade Luzon or Palawan, but definitely we will lose the West Philippine Sea.
And trillions of dollars of resources on
Trillions
that.
of dollars.
Yeah. If you don't care about territorial integrity, just care about the money and the tilapia that they will lulutuin tayo sa sarili natin mantika, basically. Yan ang mangyayari sa atin. On that note, Justice Scarpio, I didn't want to say more. Baka ma-cyber libel tayo. May nagsabi kasi, just very quick point. Sabi ko, di ba sabi ng surveys, ayaw ng mga voters ng pro-China candidates. Eh bakit yung isa, ang taas niya sa rankings? And then may nagsabi, ikaw na magsabi. Sabi ko, hindi, ikaw magsabi. Baka mas-cyber lang. Justice Garbio, from a legal standpoint, how can you call out some of these candidates, let's just say, had questionable credentials on defending West Philippine Sea without getting cyber libeled? Is there a way to do that? Or
Well,
should
you
we
just
take
say
the
that
risk?
they are followers of former President Duterte, who has repeatedly professed that he loves President Xi, that we should be a province of China. And these are his followers, his close in followers. So they
Right.
will also follow him.
Right, right. And hindi ka ma-cyber libel.
Ah, yeah, because I don't think so. It's
Open.
election anyway.
Yeah, I was telling some people like, call out, di ba? Call out. Kasi, puro, hindi, Filipinos will know, but look at the rankings. Ay, you see, ano, like, baka ma-cyber libel. Eh di sabihin mo, ito yung track record niya without saying, tuta to ng China. Don't put the name and that term, but, you can say it in other ways. Kasi parang feeling ko, puro si Bato lang ina-attack eh, di ba? I mean, I think people can guess what I'm talking about. Si Bato lang ina-attack so far eh, and even I me to a certain degree, but other people are getting away. Justice Garvey, if I can put it that way. On that note, Justice Carpio, thank you so much. Actually, I'll tell you what, people are commenting, hindi pa 10 p.m. na dyan, hindi pa pagod si Justice Carpio. Justice Carpio, naabusa ka ba dito sa show natin? Or I hope you truly enjoy what we're doing here, Justice.
Yeah, yeah, of course. So enjoy it.
I hope so. I hope so. Because sometimes parang hindi kaya parang na-exploit namin si Justice. Si Ronald kasi siyang mismong volunteer. Hindi na tayo mag-zoom mamayang 11 p.m. O bahala ka basta, di ba? Pero with you, Justice, minsan sabi ko parang baka napipilitan ka lang sa amin. Thank you so much, Justice Carpio. Alam mo, you have no idea how much people love it. It's a very close fight between you, General Torre, and distant third si Ronald Llamas in terms of favorite co-host. Hindi na kayo guest eh, co-host ng tawag sa inyo eh. So thank you so much, Justice Carpio, for
Okay.
another amazing episode together. Ang dami natin discuss, but of course, I'm proud. Finally, mukhang medyo may confirmation tayo na lumalapit na si Harry Roque sa ating bansa within the area of responsibility na natin siya. Malapit. Malapit na. Pag-asa, madetect na siya sa pag-asa. Harry Roque is getting closer to our area of responsibility. On that note, thank you very much, Justice. And God willing, see you soon in person, hopefully, for our special FY series. And more than happy to also have our own podcast series with Academia Filipina. Thank you so much, Justice. Mabuhay po kayo. And tuloy nyo lang yung TikTok and soon I'll learn more coffee making from you. God bless po.
Okay. Thank you, Richard. Thank you for having me.
Salamat.